واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم تكن بدعائك رب شقيا وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرا فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله رب رضيا يا زكريا إنا نبشرك بغلام اسمه يحيى لم نجعل له من قبل سميا قال رب أنى يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين وقد خلقتك من قبل ولم تك شيئا صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in the beginning of Sura Maryam, He says, remember the mercy of your Rabb upon his slave Zakaria. Sayyidina Zakaria goes on to make dua. And dua is one of the greatest of the rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to his slaves. Why? Because imagine if we were placed on this earth with nothing. We had our trials, we had our tribulations, but we had no one to call upon. Anything around us, it is weak, it itself doesn't have any power. Imagine if we were just placed here helplessly. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us His mercy. He listens to our dua. He gives us tawfiq to ask, and then He answers it. All of this is among the greatest of the rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ نِدَاءً خَفِيًّا. Sayyidina Zakaria, he made a dua, he called upon Allah khafiyya. He called Him in a way that was very quiet, soft, hidden. This shows us the adab of dua. The dua itself, it should be with khushu', with khudu', with tadarru', and hidden. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself, He says, عُذْكُ رَبَّكُمْ تَدَرُّعًا وَخُفْيًا. Call upon your Rabb with His utmost humility and quietly. This is one of the proofs that the Hanafis use, that after Surah Fatiha, we don't say Ameen loudly. Because it's from the principles of the Hanafis that we give preference to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, even over Khabar Wahid. So Allah said, call upon your Rabb, تَدَرُّعًا وَخُفْيًا, with full humility and quiet. So what did Sayyidina Zakaria do? He went away from everyone and he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he did it khafiyya, he did it quietly. Why? Because from the adab of dua is to be humble before the one that you are asking. Another reason that the Mufassirin gave was that he felt ashamed. Here is a man, old, white hair, almost 80 years old according to the narrations, and here he is asking for Allah for a child. Perhaps he was afraid that somebody walking by would hear him and think to themselves, look at this old man. He's asking for a child at this age. Either that or plus that, it is from the adab of making dua. قَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي وَهْنَ الْعَظْمُ مِنِّي وَاشْتَعَلَ الرَّأْسُ شَيْبًا. One of the other adab of making dua is to show your weakness before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before making that dua. So here, Sayyidina Zakaria, he's saying that, oh my Rabb, إِنِّي وَهْنَ الْعَظْمُ مِنِّي, that my bones have become feeble. وَاشْتَعَلَ الرَّأْسُ شَيْبًا, and my hair has flared white. A shayb is the white hair zakat. The wording is beautiful. وَاشْتَعَلَ رَأْسُ. وَاشْتَعَلَ usually is for like a nar, for fire. It bursts into flames. Here, his hair, as we see many older people, becomes white in the same way. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "La tantifu shayba." That the white hair is something to be honored. Don't cut it. Don't pluck it out. So, وَلَمْ أَكُنْ بِدُعَائِكَ رَبِّي شَقِيًّا. And O my Rabb, that in my calling upon you I have never been saddened, meaning he's never been refused. So from the adab of making dua is to show your weakness before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here he is speaking about his physical weakness. His bones are old and feeble, they hurt everywhere, and his hair has become white. We see that in the story of Sayyidina Noor as well. What did he do when the time came to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the reason that I mention this is so that we can learn these sunnahs. He said, قَالَ رَبِّي إِنِّي دَعَوْتُ قَوْمِي لَيْلًا وَنَهَارًا. That, oh my Rabb, I called my qawm لَيْلًا وَنَهَارًا. I called them night and day. فَلَمْ يَزِدْهُمْ دُعَائِي إِلَّا فِرَارًا. That I called them night and day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and we know almost 1,000 years of calling. And what did it do? إِلَّا فِرَارًا. It did nothing except these people still ran from me. So even the greatest of da'is, the anbiya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in their calling, sometimes they're refused. For 1,000 years they're refused. But what do? They continue in their calling. Here he's calling his people. The lesson for us is we call upon our Rabb. We never give up calling upon our Rabb. What was the reason? He gives another one. As far as the adab al-du'a, وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ مِنْ وَرَائِي. That I fear those leaders after me. Meaning he was afraid that those, right now he's the leader of his people. When he passes away, who's going to become the leader next? They are not going to take care of the deen of Allah in the way that he took care of it. وَكَانَتْ إِمْرَأَتِي عَاقِرَةً. That my wife, she is barren. Meaning, I'd like to continue your deen in the way that I have been doing, but I know that I'm getting old. Ya Allah, I need a replacement. فَهَبْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا. So gift me from yourself an heir. We see here, the purpose of it isn't how we normally want children. We want children because we want someone to take care of us in our old age. We want someone who will go to school, college, make a lot of money, and do things that way. But the Anbiya were not like that. يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ وَاجْعَلْهُ رَبِّي رَضِيًّا. This is why I want a child. I want a child who will inherit from me, who will inherit from the family of Yaqub. And here what's meant is not money, it's not wealth, it's not possession, it's not dunya. The waratha of Anbiya is ilm, is knowledge. And the children of Anbiya, for them it's wahi. He's making dua, Ya Allah, give me a child that will get wahi from you as I have received, so that they can continue to lead the people. وَاجْعَلْ لَهُ رَبِّي رَضِيًّا. And most importantly, Ya Allah, make him someone that you are pleased with. This is what we want when we want a child. We want a child that will continue the deen of Allah. He can be poor, he can be in a wretched state. We don't want that, of course. We want Allah to make people's life comfortable. But we want him to continue this deen and work for the sake of deen, and we want him to be a radiyya. We want Allah to be pleased with him. We learn sometimes, here Sayyidina Zakaria was 80 years old. Oftentimes, du'as are not answered right away. And we lose hope. We sit down, we wake up for tahajjud, we do everything we think we're supposed to do. We raise our hands, we make dua, Ya Allah, I need this. And then we sit and we wait. Where is it? Allah, it's been 10 hours. Where is it? I made dua. It's been 10 days, 10 years. When we look at the history of the Anbiya, we see that this is not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treated them. For example, we see in the story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, he made dua, رَبَّنَا اطْمِسْ عَلَىٰ أَمْوَالِهِمْ وَاشْدُدْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ فَلَا يُؤْمِنُوا حَتَّى يَرَوُا الْعَذَابَ الْأَلِيمِ. That, oh my Lord, destroy their wealth. This is Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam making dua against Fir'aun and his qawm. O Allah, destroy their wealth, harden their hearts, and do not allow them to believe until they see the painful punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, قَالَ قَدْ أُجِيبَتْ دَعْوَتُكُمَا فَاسْتَقِيمَا وَلَا تَتَّبِعَانِ سَبِيلَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So Allah replied saying, your two du'as, meaning Sayyidina Musa and Harun, has been accepted. فَاسْتَقِيمَا. So stay straight, stay steadfast, and don't follow the path of those who don't know. It was mentioned that from the time of Allah saying قَدْ أُجِيبَتْ دَعْوَتُكُمَا, that your dua has been answered, your calling has been answered, 40 years took place before they were actually given this dua, given this request. 40 years. And for us, often 4 days is too much. وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتْ, this is from Surah Yusuf, about Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salam, how he missed his son. وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ قَالَ أَبُوهُمْ إِنِّي لَأَجِدُ رِيحَ يُوسُفَ لَوْلَا أَن تُفَنِّدُونِ. So when that caravan had left Misr with Sayyidina Yusuf coming back finally to his father, it was mentioned that this was an 80 days travel away. Sayyidina Yaqub, he said, I smell Yusuf, indicating that I have not given hope. I know he's still alive. And it's mentioned in narrations that this was 80 years after his separation from his son. He didn't give hope, lose hope on his dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَوْلَا أَن تُفَنِّدُونِ, even if you think I've lost my mind. قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ إِنَّكَ لَفِي ضَلَالِكَ الْقَدِيمِ. The people around him said, by Allah, you're still in this old hope, this old misguidance, that you're still holding on to it. Dua by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it's answered, it's very arrogant of us to sit there demanding it from Him within a certain time frame. That we made dua once, twice, 1,000 times, and now we want it right away. When the Anbiya were the greatest, most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they waited 40 years, 80 years for their du'as to be answered. And here we are in a rush. Ya Zakariya, inna nubashiruka bi ghulamin ismuhu Yahya. That, oh Zakariya, we are giving you glad tidings of a son. His name will be Yahya. Lam naj'al lahu min qablu samiyya. And we have not given this as a name to anyone before him. قال ربي أن يكون لي غلام. Sayyidina Zakariya said, oh my Rabb, how can it be that I have a son? وَكَانَتْ امْرَأَتِي عَاقِرًا, while my wife, she is barren. وَقَدْ بَلَغْتُ مِنَ الْكِبْرِ عِتِيًّا, and I have reached the extremes of old age. Sometimes we look at the outward, the sabab in front of us, and we forget the musabbib. We look at the sabab. We say, I'm old, my wife can't have a child. How can I have a child? And we forget what is actually behind that sabab. It's the musabbib, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He doesn't have any weakness, He doesn't have any capability. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers him, قَالَ كَذَلِكَ. He says, this is how it's going to be. This is it. In fact, on the opposite page here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He answers Sayyidina Maryam. She says, قَالَتْ أَنَّا يَكُونُ لِي غُلَامٌ وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. She says, how can I have a child when no man has touched me and I am not one who does bad things? Allah answers similarly. قَالَ كَذَلِكَ. It's done. It's easy. Like this. It's nothing. قَالَ رَبُّكَ هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّنٌ. Your Rabb, He said, it's effortless for me. Hayyin. There's no effort. Effortless for me. وَقَدْ خَلَقْتُكَ مِنْ قَبْلُ وَلَمْ تَكُ شَيْئًا. Oh Zakaria, did you forget that before this I created you, وَلَمْ تَكُ شَيْئًا, while you were nothing? You didn't exist, not an atom, not an electron, no part of you existed. And I made you into what you are now. You don't think I can take you and your wife and create something from it? That's even easier. So the moral for us is that when we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first be grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us tawfiq and His great mercy Allah always answers du'as. But if He made the Anbiya wait decades, who are we? We can wait too. And or anything that you ask, even what seems to be impossible, ask it anyway. If Allah wants to answer it here, He'll answer it. If not, He'll answer it in Jannah for you. Or He'll give you something better than that. Because all of it is hayyin, it's easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. May Allah subhanahu wa